Hi, I'm Aku, host of the Public Diary. We're already on our 10th episode. Can you believe that?
Period.
Period. It's another week of the Public Diary, and lately the entire journey has been a roller coaster, in my opinion, simply because I didn't think for the past 2 months we'd be hitting episode 10 in a different country. So that's crazy. Thank you so much for sticking it out with me and my amazing guests, obviously, and taking the time to watch these contents. Today, as a reward, I'm giving you guys someone I have searched the highs and lows of Korea for, okay? I'm bringing someone with such an interesting life. She's living, breathing main character in Seoul. And with her global empire, it's surprising how she's not in Cat's Eye already.
Girl. Because I cannot sing.
Debatable. I think she, like I said to her, essentially, she's a multifaceted individual, and she will leave everyone feeling unaccomplished in the nicest way possible. So you might want to sink into this episode because we're going to deep dive into her story. This is none other than Yuki. Welcome to the Public Diary.
Hello. Thank you for having me, and thank you for such kind words.
No worries.
On most days, I feel like, shit, I'm not doing anything with my life. So you just made me feel better. Aw.
You know, the things you post versus your close friends, I can see why you can post that level of content because you go through several mental breakdowns to get to that place.
I do. Oh my gosh.
Everyone, she recently graduated, so everyone's like, congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. I'm so sick of studying at this point. I'm happy that I'm graduating.
Really?
Yeah.
How long was your degree?
My degree, I took 2 additional semesters, not gonna lie. So I studied for 5 years, even though I was supposed to study for 4.
That's
and
crazy.
then I also did 1 year of Korean. So I've been studying for 6 years in a way.
Well, that's a whole lot.
Yeah. So I'm just ready
Wow.
to get employed at the moment, but I will still keep studying actually. I'll probably go to fashion school or like take some extra courses on 3D graphic design.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
It ups the entire...
Yeah.
So majoring right now in what?
Oh, so I double majored. That's why I ended up taking additional semesters. My first major is international studies.
Okay.
Because the thing is, I applied to Yonsei with economics, and I loved it there, but the faculty and the teaching styles of a lot of the professors did not really match well. So I was like, what's the next best option so that I do not really, pass with a horrible score or a grade?
That's right.
Because it was a liberal arts college, I switched over to international studies because I do like politics and I do like diplomacy and I like talking about, different things related to politics in different countries. So I was like, okay, this is a good fit, and I can still study economics without having to do the math or like going through the issues that I was going through with the economics department. So I switched over to IS, and I really loved it, but I just had a feeling that I wouldn't pursue it as a career later on because there's 2 ways you go about it. You either go into academia where you're like writing theses and like writing different papers, and that's not for me. I'm a very hands-on person, so I would rather like do practical things. And 2, if I were to work in politics, I would really want to make a change and help people out there. But it's really hard to do that in today's world. If you have to do a lot to make change. Yeah. And I just couldn't see myself really bearing with the stress and pressure of it. But I knew from since I was a child that I was really inclined towards art and the creative fields.
You're so... Wow.
So I remember I was having like a mental breakdown in my 3rd year of university because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. Like I enjoy my major, but I don't see it as a career. I feel very lost. So I was having this conversation at 3 a.m. with my friends back home, and they ended up like telling me like, Yuki, don't you like art and don't you really like fashion? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, like we know you love like sciences like and practical stuff, but we always thought you would pursue art or fashion because you really love it. It's like a passion of yours. And when they said that, like something actually clicked. And I started thinking about it more seriously. So I ended up declaring my second major, which is culture design management. It's not exactly fashion design, but we were allowed to take courses from the fashion college
Okay.
of Yonsei. And then it was learning a lot of like design, like in terms of like graphic design. So I learned like the whole Adobe, whole Creative Cloud.
It's a
Like
nightmare.
we learned the AR filter making thing, Adobe Aero. We
Oh.
learned Photoshop, Illustrator. I also learned Blender. It is hard, but I really enjoyed it. And then we are also learning the management aspect of it. So like managing maybe exhibition spaces or marketing specifically for the design and cultural industry and
Okay.
art. So I was like, okay, this is great. I can do both. Like you can learn from the managing part, and I can still make projects that are for my design portfolio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's how my like double major happened. And
Most people just like take one simple straight major.
yeah.
How did you end up aiming like from science and management and like
Because you see, I was all over the place since I was a kid, just because my parents, like my mom specifically, she put me in a lot of things. She put me in fucking taekwondo. Oh, she put
you
me.
can curse
Okay.
if you want.
She put me in taekwondo. She put me in music, so I play the piano and the flute as well. And I play both the Indian flute and also the jazz
This
flute.
is called growing up
Yeah.
Asian.
Yeah, like tiger parenting. She put me in dance, but she also put me in classical dance. I did not pick up on classical dance, but I kind of want to do it. I regret not doing Kathak. But anyways, she put me in art. She put me in everything, and she also like they made a emphasis on being well-rounded via extracurriculars while also getting good grades. And I was really phenomenal at science till the end of 12th grade. So I was really confused. Like the reason why I even chose science is because in India they say that if you want to get into any stream in college, just go with science if you can, because you can like use science as a safe option.
Yeah,
But
safety
also
net.
like if you want to go down to maybe commerce or arts, if you have science, like you will get in anywhere.
Exactly.
But if you have an arts like major in like 12th 11th 12th grade, it might be harder for you to shift over to like a science or commerce program.
That's true.
So because of that, I was like initially contemplating even like becoming a pilot, because I enjoyed physics so much, but it's so expensive to be a pilot. Like the whole it's
It's
crores.
equivalent to taking a
Yeah.
doctorate degree.
Yeah, so that's why I was just like, I know my parents cannot afford that, and I don't want them to go through it for
Exactly.
me. So I just like weighed my options, and I was like, I know I do not want to pursue sciences, just because I saw how much effort it takes to work in a lab, and when your projects fail, you have to do it again, and it's just a lot of research, and I just found myself like not being able to do it, because it feels like a lot of work, in the sense that I think I would have way more mental breakdowns if I was doing it. I really like commend all my friends who are in STEM for it though. Like they're really, really admirable and like strong for that. But I just knew that it wasn't for me, because I would like to be engaging with people, interacting with them. I would like to just, get myself out there rather than sit behind a desk and like write research papers. It just didn't seem right for me. Like my gut instinct told me that I'm meant to like maybe interact more. So that's why I ended up choosing economics. So I was planning on pursuing finance, but then that didn't work out at university. So I ended up in IS. And then from IS, I finally decided that, okay, fashion it is. And what's the closest thing I can do to have a certain background if I want to go to fashion school later? We have a design degree in our department, so I'll just
Wonderful.
double major. And I convinced my parents. It took a while, because they're like, Yuki, you're always like all over the place. Like you're always changing what you want. But then the thing is, ever since I decided on it, that has not changed. And the moment I decided on it, I really worked with my networking and with like really getting into the fashion industry as much as I could. I actually look back at it sometimes and I'm like, me a few years ago wouldn't believe that I would be doing all this in Korea right now, that too related to the fashion industry. It's actually crazy.
Wow.
It was a journey. It was a journey.
My whole life, I've kind of thought people are either like very artistic or either very scientific. Like either right brain or left brain.
Yeah.
And then according to what they want the most, they choose.
Mm-hmm.
But you're so right. Sometimes even the most creative people
Yeah.
have the most like technical backgrounds.
Right.
But it's just their desire of, I think, the other
And there's also
personality
like our
quirks.
societal pressure. We get a lot of pressure from society. I remember I told my parents I wanted to pursue dance before like my knee injury happened, and they were like, no, we want you to like get a good safety net kind of a degree so that if that never happens, like if let's say dance never works out and you injure yourself, which ended up happening, we want you to have something that you can have as a career safely.
Yeah.
So because of that, I actually also was like kind of pressured or like kind of gaslit myself into taking economics, even though I wanted to go into art. So yeah, like, just circumstances and then societal expectations and like familiar expectations and everything. But it's okay. It's a learning curve.
It is. You've done so much.
Girl.
23 and so much.
I want to keep doing more.
If you guys wonder how I met Yuki, I like to call her Yuki Didi for the fun of it because she just feels like a bigger sister.
Aw.
And she's the most like giving and I think wise person on the internet.
That's so sweet.
After being on her close friends, I was like even more insight to you as an individual. There's more layers. One thing is I met her at Seoul Fashion Week in my first ever semester as a freshman in Korea, and I saw her walking down like the slope at Dongdaemun with her Kagra and Hanbok, and I remember going,
Wow.
yeah. And I was like, shit, that's so creative. And I approached her and I was like, oh my God, Indian. we're Desi. And then figured out that she also lives in Dubai.
Crazy.
Everything from then on, high road.
Yes.
And she was the one who actually introduced me to PG Junho. If you haven't seen episode 8, definitely go check that out.
Junho's picture is here.
Right there.
Right there.
And yeah, she is this multicultural, like she is cross-culture representation right here. It's not just between India and Korea anymore, in my opinion.
Thank you.
You've gone way beyond that. But do you...
Have I?
Yeah.
I have?
I don't think people who come on here realize their impacts. And when I tell them, they're like, have I done that? But it's always like that.
If I'm ever feeling low, I'm going to come and rewatch this video.
Please
I
do.
I will rewatch this video.
You're literally out here bridging a variety of cultures, like I mentioned. And you moved to Korea when, like, 6 years ago?
Yeah, I moved here in 2019 as soon as I was done with high school. So I came here when I was 17.
And you can speak Korean fluently.
I mean, there's room for improvement always, but I think I'm fluent enough to work because I just recently finished my internship. And
That's very nice.
Understood everything they said to me throughout the internship, even though like speaking wise I could do better, but I understand the vocabulary. So I would like say I'm a good topic for 4.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but
Like just fluent enough to work, but not. It depends on the area of work too, though. Like if it is maybe something more technical, it would be harder. But then I just like asked ChatGPT to tell me the translations for the technical terms we use in fashion. So just expanding. But I think fluent enough to definitely have a lovely conversation with anyone.
that's really nice. That's useful.
It is.
You know, as foreigners in Korea,
Yeah.
you are always expecting the misunderstandings.
Yeah, the
and everything.
stereotypes and everything, yeah.
Did you ever feel like you had to conform to the culture over here?
I mean,
Especially because you were like working as well. I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
it's
yeah.
more intense.
so like I think think of this question, I think of like several different things.
Definitely.
So as an Indian person, when I first came to Korea, I did not expect, like I wasn't, I don't think, when they meet an Indian person and you tell them they're Indian, like they automatically assume that you're either good at math, and like the taxi drivers are always like, oh, like if you're from India and you're studying in Yonsei, you must be really smart. And I just like, so in that sense, I was like, okay, I see that they have a nice, positive opinion of India, and I'm really happy about that. But then there were a few people who I would tell them that I was Indian, and they would try to be like, oh, really? You don't smell like curry. Someone has actually said to me, And that is an insane thing to say to someone. So in that sense, I guess they expect us to, like, I guess, be unhygienic or have like really strong or bad body odor sometimes, or in the just the negative aspect. And then the positives are like they usually expect us to be really good at math or like study well. And I would like say this, I'm not good at math. I tried really hard, which is why I did well in math in high school. But I explained to a lot of people that Indians, like, yes, I know this, like, a lot of us are good at math, but it's also because we're studying really hard and we're working hard.
The
And we do have
curriculum.
yeah, you have the curriculum, and then we end up having the aptitude for it. But then there's a whole side of Indians that's probably really creative, and they can do way more. So
India is diverse.
diverse.
We're
So
the second largest
yeah.
country.
So in that sense, like, I guess, like, I did not feel the need to conform to anything. But if one thing I did feel when I first came here, I did struggle with like self-image and like body dysmorphia. So when I came here and like I found out that people here expect you to be 50 kilos or below if you're considered healthy or thin. And even like when you go to the doctor and you get your health checkup done, their BMI is calculated a bit differently than most other countries.
Really?
Yeah, the BMI in Korea is like lower. Like, I think I don't remember the numbers, but I just know it's lower than the normal healthy BMI abroad.
That's crazy.
So just because of that, initially when I came here, I felt the need to kind of like conform to the beauty standards and like maintain my weight and appearance. But as time went by, I just like grew more comfortable into who I was, and I met such lovely people, and they were just embracing their individuality. So I was just like, oh, this is great. I would love to embrace my individuality too.
Yeah.
So at some point, I'm pretty sure I did feel the need to conform to certain things or like certain mannerisms. And when it comes to like being polite in Korean culture, I still do conform to certain things. Like, for example, do not take calls on the bus or the train, and do not speak too loudly in public spaces. But at the same time, I'm happy that eventually I found myself here.
Yeah.
And grew into who I really am.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah. You know, essentially, I do know you as an influencer or
Yeah.
content creator.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to talk about that because I'm sure most of your audiences who might be watching might come from your profile. Any misconceptions audiences have about foreign influencers living abroad? Because it's so prominent these days in Korea.
Yeah.
They're left, right, and center.
Yeah, I think this is also kind of like when you first asked me to confirm, like, do people expect you to conform to certain
Yeah,
standards?
it comes under there as well.
it comes under this, because the thing is, when I first met people and they knew that I was a content creator, especially like, for example, friends that are lovely friends now from university, they would like tell me that after a while when we became close, they'd tell me that, you know, Yuki, when I first saw your profile or when I first met you, I expected you to be really mean or like bitchy or just, you know, because it just felt like you would be narcissistic, because I think most influencers are like that. And I was like, I can understand why people might think I'm a bit cold or standoffish, because whenever I'm alone in a public space where people might know me, but like let's say university, I keep to myself. I'm actually an introverted person. I'm an INFJ.
INFJ?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I also have a very strong resting bitch face.
Okay.
Because I'm just concentrating on something when I'm outside. Like, let's say I'm waiting for a class, I'm reading. So I can understand why people might think I'm a bit cold, but I do my best to eventually like warm up to them. And even if I'm like at a friend's birthday party and there's people I don't know, I do not find the courage in me to instantly say hi if they're not sitting next to me. But eventually I try. So I told them, like, I understand where you're getting that from, but I can assure you that not everyone in the influencer community is like that. But again, I cannot really deny it either, because I have had, and my friends have had, our fair share of experiences meeting some really weird people who kind of look down on you because maybe you're a foreigner or because of your race. So, and then there's just another whole side to that. So I cannot deny nor confirm, but I will say that not all of them are horrible. And the people that I luckily have in my life who are also great content creators and influencers, they're actually really intelligent. And like you would assume that they only know like posting and like maybe looking pretty for Instagram. There's so much more to these people, and there's like the more you get to know them, like it's actually quite nicer. So regarding the influencer community, like don't like assume that they're all bad people. They're really lovely people, and very stimulating conversations with them.
Definitely, because at the end of the day, they're
Yeah.
all individuals.
And yeah. And then I think also people assume that it's really easy to make content. It's not.
How?
Yeah. Like you're making a podcast right now, so that also comes under content creation. You know how hard it is, and you know how hard it might be to even generate an income out of it.
And you do projects.
Yeah.
I always see you like conceptualizing everything and then posting, you know? And it takes so much brain effort.
It does.
Like at night, do you ever like
your
eyes are closed but your brain is still on?
I actually really get exhausted posting on Instagram all the time. But the thing is, because I know I would like to keep doing it, I just like let's say I have to post tomorrow. I will sit in silence at night, and then I start like curating everything and typing out the caption, and then editing the photos and the concept I want to deliver. Like I think it through and then do it. And then
very nice.
a lot of my other friends too, like my best friend Piyusha, I've seen her, like she works full time in Korea, and if you work a full time job in this country, it's so stressful. She comes home, and because she also does content, I see her literally hustling. Like she doesn't get a break. She doesn't catch a break. Even a holiday when you are supposed to be resting, there's a content that she probably needs to film for like a brand or something. And it's the same with me and with like some other models out here. Like some days when you just need the rest, you cannot get rest because you have work. So the stereotype that content creation is easy, it's not. And especially when you have a brand deal and you have to like satisfy the brand's criteria while also not losing your content's identity, so that you don't lose followers from it.
Right.
And like they still find it entertaining, even though it's like a product placement or an advertisement. It's so hard.
Doesn't it get more annoying when they need to approve the content?
Yes. So the thing is, I understand why they would need to approve the content, but at some certain moments, I feel like they should also like trust the person that they're reaching out to if they think their content is good enough. Just because, okay, I don't mind showing it. It's just that sometimes it's nicer if they're a bit flexible with like things like the script of the reel with the ad placement in it, or like just with certain changes that the influencer might make, because they have to also kind of like curate it to their identity and their individuality. Because when you're like posting something and it's obviously an ad, people might not be that interested in buying it, right? But if you post it in a way where it's like, oh my gosh, look at this blush I'm using for my makeup tutorial, it might not be outrightly said, but they will tag them and like might put the hashtag it's an ad, but at the same time they're actively using it. People might be more engaged to interact with that and like might contemplate it. So just make it more natural. So then them accepting the flexibility of it being a bit more natural is always appreciated. So in that sense, it can be a bit like taxing mentally when the brand keeps asking for revisions. But I understand that the brand also wants it to be like perfect for them, and they're also like investing a lot of money into it. So I get like both the client and like the person side,
because it's a lot of work, and you've been doing this years on, you know, I'm sure it's been a huge like developmental process, but has there ever been moments where you feel like you wanted to quit?
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, not quit necessarily,
Or, like,
but the thing is, pause. Like, there are days where I just wanted to deactivate my Instagram account, but it's really horrible for engagement if you do that. And if like, even if I like sometimes like, I was really like going through it last year during December to earlier January this year, because of like just graduating and figuring out what I'm going to do next and having a plan and being really busy with the final semester. So I wasn't posting that much. And when I disappeared for just 1 week and I came back, my engagement already like fell a lot. So like deactivating it makes it even worse. So that's why so for me, I just take pauses from posting. but I wouldn't necessarily quit and like delete my account, because even though I do it as like a side hustle,
Yeah.
I do enjoy like making content whenever I feel like it. So in my head, I like to remind myself that it's not really a chore. It's like a passion and like a labor of love sometimes.
And
So
it's
and
your
I just love interacting with my followers too. Like all my followers are really sweet, and sometimes I get some really crazy comments, which is what made me want to like pause it in the first place. Or when I was like actively doing like YouTube videos with other channels, the people there would be so harsh and so critical, but the thing is they don't understand, like, because I'm representing India and a part of it. It's a very diverse country, and everybody's habits and like preferences will be different.
very
But that's not necessarily a reason to hate on someone, like
Yeah.
just because I'm saying it. But I do always mention we are very diverse, so because of that, like the hate comments sometimes would get to me and it would be really hurtful. And then sometimes the comments are not even like hateful in a constructive way. They're just really, really, really mean. I remember someone once called me like a Hindu-phobic person, and I was like, "Where's this even coming from?" So moments like these would like make me reconsider doing maybe YouTube interviews or like public stuff. But and also like I have had my experiences with a few YouTube channels that would edit it in a controversial way to gain negative attraction, because that does get more views, unfortunately. So because of that, there were days where I just wanted
That's
to quit,
crazy.
and I did actually like stop doing YouTube videos for a while now. I haven't done them like for months. Like I only do it if I trust the source and the person. So like I like just because I realized that at the end of the day I have my Instagram, and like my followers are on there, and usually when I have something to say, let's say about the world or any political changes, or even like anyone's like mental health, because they ask me a question on the Q&A, I know that they know I'm being transparent with them and I can engage with them there.
Yeah.
So like it's better that I just do it on my channel than worry about being on someone else's channel and them like editing it evilly and then getting more hate, which will affect my mental health. Like I try to not read the comments, but sometimes I just cannot help myself. So
Okay.
in moments like that, I have contemplated quitting, but at the end of the day, like I just enjoy it a lot, so I do not quit, and I do like talking to some of my followers, so that's lovely. Yeah.
Period. You know, thinking about your entire like going from India to Korea, Dubai sometimes back, like I'm sure your family has a lot to say.
My parents miss
Big-
me.
I
Yeah.
know, because I don't know about you, but my mom will be like, you can go to Korea, you can go to America, you can go to any part of the world, but there's no place like Dubai.
Yeah, they say that. Then my parents add another layer to it. They said, "There's no place like home. There's no place like being with family members." I agree. I understand where they're coming from. They're proud of me. They
That's
are.
amazing.
Like my brother, my mom, my grandmother, and my dad. They're really proud of me for everything and like making it work in another country. And I've had like friends back home say that it's not really easy to move to a completely different country that doesn't even speak English that often, and then making your life and base there at 17. It requires a lot of growth. So they're really proud of me, but then they miss
Yeah.
me. So they really want me to come back home.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Do you often fall into disagreements with your family
We like not.
over where you
Yeah, the thing is because you see, whether it's related to career or
or
even like where I want to be, we do have like sometimes we have disagreements. Like initially when I wanted to pursue fashion, they were really confused because I was making such a big change from economics and IS, which is like a maybe more sustainable and stable pathway,
Cre-
but fashion is creative, so there's got to be ups and downs. That's how it usually goes. So they were really concerned and they were like very confused, and because of that, like we had to have a lot of conversations
Yeah.
before they completely accepted it.
Yeah.
And then even with like living in Korea, like they understand why I want to be here, but they also like want me to have like a broader mind and experience it in Dubai too, because I know that Dubai is very well known for luxury fashion and luxury fashion buyers.
Actually,
So if I manage to go to Dubai later on, I'm going to take it as like a challenge to like start anew and like make my base in another place, because you never know where it might help. And Dubai is really connected to a lot of the countries out there. So people I might know in Dubai might eventually be connected to UK, which is where I want to go for like my fashion design degree. So I think in small ways, like there will be new open windows in Dubai too.
So Korea is not the end all be all place,
No,
right?
my
Okay.
Korea is not my end destination. It is one of the places I really love being.
Yeah.
So later on, if I decide to open my brand, I know that my brand will be having, like the goal is to also have a maybe store or like ship to Korea, or like if I really like, because I like living here, I would love to come to Korea and just like, like so open up my brand here too.
That's cool.
But at the moment, like I know that I would like to be in a few more countries before I find the place where I really wanted to stay. So Korea is not the end goal. I think Korea is a very good place for growth, but you can keep growing by putting yourself in like other areas. Yeah.
I think the way you tap yourself with, like, just seeing Korea and the way you associate yourself with these different places, it's quite interesting because maybe it's also because of the duration that you've been here, but you've opened yourself, like, how can I explain this? It's like literally from um, like a butterfly forming, you know what I mean?
Oh, like metamorphosis, like
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly that, in the sense of you throw yourself in there and you make the most out of it. And I'm sure wherever you go, you'd be perfectly fine. So,
Oh, thank you. I think one of my favorite things to think is that like sometimes you just have to put yourself in situations that you might not be the most comfortable with to
Okay.
grow in like these situations. Like right now, I've been in Korea for like almost 6 years,
Right.
and I have grown very comfortable actually here. And I think the only thing I can think of is another thing I can take up here to grow is maybe to work in a Korean office, because working in a Korean office like full time is really prepares you, and it's really taxing and it's not laid back at all. So I think that would help me like take on a lot of responsibilities later on. So in that sense, I think that's the growing I can do here. But other than that, I think I've already grown a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't mind going to Dubai either, just because I think I'm scared about it because I don't know anyone there and I don't know where to start. But that's like, it's still like when you're lost, there's still so many paths you can take, right?
Right.
So that's why I just think that even though I'm putting myself outside my comfort zone, because Korea is my comfort zone, it will help me grow even more and lead me to places. So like I like to have this mindset with anything.
Crazy, because some people like being very in that comfortable position.
I don't
Seeing
blame
you
them.
push more
I don't.
to
I don't blame them.
the Korean work culture is crazy.
Yeah. I don't blame them for being comfortable. I just know that my dreams and my ambitions, I'm a very ambitious person. And I really, if I put my mind to something, I really, really do want to achieve it. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't be satisfied until I get there. So to get there, I know that I have to push myself a bit.
Okay. Okay, you said your MBTI was INFJ. What's your star sign? Leo?
Yes.
Okay. What's your rising?
Pisces.
Ah, no wonder you're so pretty.
Aw, thank you. I don't know what these usually mean.
Oh, I do
So,
those like birth
yeah.
chart readings. I like doing that. And your moon is what, Virgo?
Sagittarius.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I see it.
Whatever
Later
that means,
on.
y'all.
Later on, we'll figure it out. I'm gonna play a game with you.
Yeah.
It's called Desi, K, or both. So it's basically prompts. You have to tell me if it's from like, the soap opera TVs or
Yeah.
Desi soap opera TVs or K.
Okay. Like K dramas? Oh, okay. Okay.
It's very easy.
Okay.
Dramatic crying scenes.
Girl, both.
Instant zooms.
Yeah. Like both. In the Indian ones, like you have then the replayed shots
From all
from
angles.
all angles, and then Korean ones, you're just like they're just wailing, like both.
So for like a good 5 minutes.
Yeah, for
they're
a good
crying.
5 minutes. But it's good acting though. Like I understand. I understand crying like that. I get it.
Okay, obsession with whitening creams.
Both.
right? I was
Both.
like,
I was gonna say.
yeah.
I was say. The first thing I thought of was Fair and Lovely, but then I'm like, wait. I live in Korea.
Yeah.
They're always talking about like
Tone up.
toning up. So both.
Mm-hmm. Falling in love after one intense eye contact.
Both again.
Both?
Depend. Actually, Indian.
Really?
Yeah.
I would say K-dramas are more
K
like that.
dramas. That's why I said both. You see, like I used to watch a few soap TVs with my grandmother, and you know the scene where like they would make eye contact, and then you're just zooming into the eyes,
And then she
and
goes
like
like that.
and they're a bit shy, but then they're zooming into the eyes. Like Ramayan, Sita and Ram. I think it was the 2010 version. There's this whole scene where she looks at Ram and she's just like in love.
Gagged. Not
Gagged.
Ram and Sita.
Yeah. So like I really love the actors in that show, like in that version of Ramayan. Like I found them both very beautiful. So that's how like that scene is embedded in my head.
Oh.
And then there's also K dramas where like they just look at each other and they feel something, but then they get to know each other and then they fall in love. So I guess both works out depending on what TV series you're talking about.
Yeah, that never happens in real life. You're looking at your crush, you're like looking at the bin next to it,
Yeah,
maybe.
no, I know. Like, oh my gosh, the crushes I've had.
30-year-old playing a literal high schooler.
This is Korea.
Korea.
For sure. Yeah.
You'd never know.
No, you'd never know. I mean, we have child actors back home too, but you can guess the age.
Yeah.
Like usually. But in Korea, I get shocked. I'm like, huh? You're 30? Yeah, Korea for sure.
Hero punches 10 people without even a single drop of sweat.
India.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
Mr. Rajnikant. Yeah, yeah.
And he just doesn't sweat.
He doesn't sweat. No. And they're just pushed away by this force of wind, and they're all on the floor.
I go to the gym 20 minutes in. I look like a pig, man.
Red, tomato, sweating, hot.
Okay. This is just a bit questions about another extension about you living here. Any challenges you've encountered, maybe in the beginning when you were moving to Korea?
Major difficulties.
Because, yeah, you kind of moved your whole life. It would be hard to pin
Yeah.
down just one.
I was actually really comfortable with moving to Korea for some reason because to me, I think even the Korea, like, it is harder when you first come in and you don't speak an ounce of Korean. Like,
You
right
weren't
now,
speaking?
no, I didn't. But like when I came in 2019, you did not have as many people speaking or trying to speak English like they do right now in 2025. So I know that I was navigating a lot of things when I first came purely based off Papago and Google Translate. But then I started studying Korean on my own. So it eventually worked out. But that part was a bit hard because I remember one time as soon as I came, before my Korean language program started, I went to Jeju for a week because it was really cheap at that time and inflation had not hit the country. So I remember I got stranded at this bus stop because it was raining really hard and I did not know where I was because my phone had died. And there was a sweet couple because there was just one restaurant across. They took me in and they helped me. But I remember feeling so like scared and lost because I was like, where am I? In the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere in this storm. So like I guess that was a bit hard when I first came in without like knowing the language. And then another thing that was hard was like because I did my language program in Busan. Moving from Busan to Seoul was a challenge in itself, and like getting to like figure out how to ship the things because no one is here to tell you how to do that in this country. Even when I was applying to university, actually, it's relatively more easier now to find information on how to apply and get like the admission related documents and everything. But when I was looking up everything in 2018 to apply to come to Korea, it was really hard to find every single piece of information. And we didn't even have ChatGPT to be like, hey, can you do a little web search and help me find these things?
Oh.
So it was really, like, I really had to do a very big deep dive on my university's portal to find out every single information, including the academic application dates. So that was a bit hard, so navigation. And then just, like, initially when you move in, you have to, like, deal with things like the bank and health insurance and immigration. So it's very overwhelming. So
Yeah.
in that sense, like it was a bit challenging, but now I'm accustomed to these things. So that's fine. And then getting used to maybe the food food related options, because the thing is I'm non-vegetarian, but I was used to eating more vegetarian stuff throughout the week. Like from Monday to Friday we used to have vegetarian food, and on weekends we would have like a special like chicken curry or something at home. But then in Korea it's not that common to have like vegetables incorporated, or just
Into
only
the diet.
vegetarian foods every day. So that was a bit like challenging, but it's okay. We worked it out. Like I would cook when I got the time, and then I like my body automatically got accustomed to the changes. And then emotionally also it was hard sometimes, because there are days where you're just really really sick, or like you're mentally really exhausted, and you would like maybe want to be next to your family, but you know that they are not there to take care of you because you're
Right.
alone
You're
in
on your
another
own.
country. And I have a hard time even like reaching out to people and asking them, not because I do not trust them, it's just that I don't know what
Yeah.
feel like burdening anybody. So when I would be sick, I would just be like dying in bed alone, because like when I fall sick, like it's bad. Like I never fall sick, but when I do, I'm just like bedridden. So like those moments would make me realize how much I really miss my family members, and I just appreciate like the love and support. But I like eventually, because when I first went to Yonsei, I also had like a hard time with the people I met there, because some of them were really interesting people in terms of their choices and behavior and maturity level.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say I'm the perfect person out there. I have my flaws too, and I had my flaws then too. It's just that I just found everything very high school, like high school dramas. Like, you know, when you've come in the first semester and everyone's friends, but then some big event happens, and then all the friendships are falling apart, and then you find your real friends in like the second
Yeah, it's
semester.
very yeah.
Like that's the usual experience for a lot of the foreigners from what I've heard. And I had that kind of an experience too. So I was just like having a really hard time with people as well, and finding really genuine connections. I remember that it really had an impact on my mental health, and I also felt really lost in life as to what I'm doing with my career choices, and like where am I going. So just because of everything combined, like the small things from like maybe the immigration office and like having to renew, or like not being able to figure out health insurances at first, or like people, and like trying to understand why they're so invested in like gossiping all the time and having like high school drama kind of a vibe, like Mean Girls, but you're literally in college. You shouldn't be acting it this way. You should like try to be a bit more understanding
Mature,
and
yeah.
mature and a good person. So like just all these small things, and like being alone when you're like kind of like sick, and just those small things would like eventually like they did affect me emotionally and mentally. So I remember I had to go to therapy because I was really depressed because of the kind of people I had met. I failed 3 classes actually. I failed 3 classes in a semester because of how bad it had gotten, and just the poor life choices that even I had made, while I was willing to give into the people pleasing peer pressure. So that was like a hard time. And the fact that I have never ever failed anything in life, failing like 3 classes at once, it wasn't like I even failed. I actually asked the professors to give me an F, because I was like, I'll retake your class. I do not want a shitty grade, just fail me. So getting an academic warning and everything, while also struggling emotionally with like friends and everything, like that really
Oh my
put things
god.
into perspective, because I was like, what am I doing? Like,
You
what
can
am
write
I?
a book on this. I know, I was just like, you're telling me, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, if she opens a website, like a blog, puts like every detail, asks for a prize, money. Because everyone and their mothers are trying to move to Korea these days.
They are. And the thing is, I know it looks really sweet and glamorous, but it's not. It's a very strong, like highly inflated economy at the moment, very expensive. And then you might have, like most of my experience types, like are 90% of them are really good, but the 10% is, even though it's rough, it's like extremely rough. So if you do not have the willpower in you to like survive through it, I don't recommend it. And then even university sometimes has its own issues, like course enrollment is a pain. I don't know how they do things at George Mason, but I know that the course enrollment system in Yonsei, every semester people are scrambling to get their classes. And even though we would apply, we would not get our classes. There were semesters where I got like only 3 or 4 classes, even after add and drop.
I hear that everyone.
And that was another
Yonsei.
thing. Yeah, that was another thing that prolonged my degree, because I did not get enough credits because I wouldn't get the classes, because even though I applied for it. And then just like sometimes there are just issues like when with the faculty and things like that. Maybe the academic advisor might not know certain things, even though they're the academic advisor. So even though it is an English-speaking university, it does have things, and like there are just things like just not only about the university, but just about Korea in general that you might want to consider before moving here, because I know it looks really lovely, and like a lot of people I know, they dream about coming here. And me and my friends were just having this conversation. Some people want to come here as models with the hopes of like getting to know a K-pop idol and like meeting them and dating them, or like coming here like being with a Korean man, or like just being in Korea for that reason, for that matter. But I hope you do realize that Korea is still a very competitive society, and everyone's really working hard to get to where they want, including the Koreans. So if you are someone who cannot put up with the pressure of maybe, let's say, the academic atmosphere in your university, or the competitiveness in the career that you want to go, or the job you want to be employed in, I think you should like reconsider some things, and especially even things like maybe if you have dietary restrictions and you do not like the idea of adapting to it, like certain things. I think you should really like make your choices before like coming, because Korea is just like on any other country. It has its plus sides, it has its downsides as well. It has both.
It's also really a homogenous place.
Yeah,
so
yeah. It is it is a very homogeneous country. They say they want more foreigners, and I'm glad that they do want foreigners nowadays. But still, a strong population is still homogeneous. I'm not gonna name the company, but I did like 2 internships, and one of them literally like treated me as an unaccomplished or like unqualified person, but even though they used my ideas for a lot of the things. And I did get treated really badly by the team leader too. She would never talk to me, never make eye contact with me. In that sense, sometimes people can be really harsh with you because you're a foreigner, because they're a homogeneous country and they're very strongly rooted into who they are. Sometimes you might meet people who might think that just because you're a foreigner, you might be incompetent, and Koreans are the most competent people. And Koreans are competent, they're really, really hardworking, but directly assuming that a foreigner is incompetent just because they're a foreigner is kind of rough. So there are like small layers that you need to like dig into and understand when you move here. And like it's rough, but there's also, like I said, 90% of my experiences are still positive, so I do love being here. But the 10%, because it can become really emotionally taxing and challenging, you like really need to consider that you can handle, whether you can handle it or not.
That's a lot of wise words. Like while you were talking again, I was just thinking you should have your own podcast about this shit.
Girl, I keep wondering if I should do it. Everyone keeps telling me, even when I was like, if you had seen my stories, like that one day when I did Q&A, when people were asking me like really emotionally deep questions, someone like responded to it saying, Yuki, you should open up your own podcast. Like you have a lot to say.
You want to do soul sessions every time? I will come and do it. Let's do it.
We can do soul sessions. Why
because
not? Let's talk about our
6 years. 6 years into 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's not enough. Like I could talk about so many things. Even when it comes to like the challenges, there's different challenges per visa. Like there's challenges for the D2 visa as a student.
You were like
E6 visa. This. Like everyone has so many struggles. Like it's so hard to like make it into a compact answer and explain it.
The last and final question.
Okay.
If you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell her?
Oh my gosh, there would be so many things I would tell her. I would mainly say that don't worry and don't be so stressed. Keep working hard like you already are, because believe it or not, I would say this to probably me who was 15 to 17, or like, because my baby me did not really think much in life. But when I really hit like 15, 17, like I was like wondering what I was doing. And I would like to even say this to my 20-year self who was depressed to the point suicide was contemplated. You can put a little PSA if you want to include that in the
Okay.
video. Yeah. I was suicidal, so I just wanted to say that I will grow. You will grow. You just keep working hard and treat everything as maybe like a fruitful lesson, and keep doing the self reflections. You will eventually meet people who feel like home to you,
Yeah.
and you will receive the kind of validation and acknowledgement you want from your family and your parents. You will be able to figure everything out, and things will go as you want. Even though instantly it might not feel like it, you will end up achieving what you had desired because you were working hard towards it. And the things that didn't go the way you planned them, it was for a reason, and it was probably to save you from something.
Yeah.
So I would like to reassure myself that you're doing just fine, and be a bit more loving towards yourself, because I know that I wasn't the most kindest person to me, even though I was trying to be kind to everyone around me. So I would really like to remind the younger me to love myself a bit more and be kinder and less critical and less harsh to myself. I remember one time when I was like in high school, I cried because I got 17 out of 20 on a test. I bawled my eyes out just because I was like, I have to do the best. And even though it's funny when I think about it back then, there even small things, like maybe not getting an A plus but getting an A minus in college, or for that matter, I'm having a rough day and I just decided to stay home and stay in bed all day. I even would criticize myself for things like that.
Yeah.
So I just would like to reassure myself and all the people out there, actually, not only myself. I think this is something that we all do.
Yeah.
We're very self-critical. Learn to give yourself some grace. You are a human being at the end of the day. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think this episode was not justified. I'm going to say that. 45 minutes is not enough with you.
Girl, I could keep going on.
I know,
keep
I
talking.
wish. While listening to her, I just felt like you are one of, someone really special, in the sense of, I don't know how you hold so many. I thought I was the most ambitious person until I met you today.
Girl, there's no comparison.
Of course
We're
not.
all-
But the
you're-
way, you hold expectations for yourself, you live up to them, but also you have the downfalls, and you're embracing that with grace. And, that sort of effect that's taken into place was so interesting to hear. And I'm sure many people can resonate with, the type of experiences you're going through, but not in this, maybe not in the
not a
sense.
similar way, but I'm pretty sure, yeah.
There
Yeah.
are overlapping natures. So you know that she's real and not just the most perfect princess on your Instagram
Girl, no.
timeline.
No, if you see my close friends, I'm going through it. It's I like to do it on my close friends because
I
I'm
know.
it's a little PSA for all my friends, because I like them to be in the loop,
I see the red mark, the green mark, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm tuned in.
Yeah,
Didi.
I'm tuned in, oh my gosh, what's happening today?
Thank you so much for giving your time and coming on.
No worries. I'm happy to be here. I love having deep, meaningful, soulful conversations, whether it's about me or whether it's about someone else or just about life in general. So being here, the thing is, when I first started watching your podcast, and I was like, this is great. I love how genuine the conversations are, and it makes me actually want to sit and listen. So I think it's a great initiative. So that's why when you asked me, would you want to be on it, I was like, yes. Anyways, I was actually, the day you texted me actually about it when you were still in Dubai, I was already contemplating, but I was feeling shy about it. I was like, should I ask her, can I be on your podcast too?
way!
Yeah.
Because you were the first person. I was like, oh no, I gotta go back to Korea.
I was gonna
Yuki Didi?
yeah, I was literally going to text you while you were still in Dubai. When you're back, I would love to film with you and be on your podcast, but you beat me to it. You asked me instead first.
You guys can expect her a lot more, because I think we have cross connections as well.
Yes, it was meant to be.
We can have dual episodes. You
Yeah.
are not missing any more of Yuki, and I'm sure you loved her because I loved listening to her.
Aw, I hope you guys did.
You really are such a good speaker, and you
Thank
have a lot
you.
of wisdom.
Whenever I talk, though, I ramble a lot because I want to convey so much, but it's
I
so
know.
hard to just convey it in a few sentences.
I know. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Yuki Didi, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I was happy to be here.
See you guys in the next episode. I love you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Yay.
We killed it. That was great.
It was too short, man.
No worries. You can like find